Australian Ambassador to Laos Paul Kelly offers his keynote remarks to celebrate the Australia Day, which falls on the 26th January. This is his first Australia Day message as the ambassador to the Lao PDR. The ambassador said, "For me and my colleagues that at the Australian Embassy, National Day is also a time where we can reflect on Australia's international relations and, of course, our relations with Laos." Ambassador Paul also takes this opportunity to thank all of the friends and partners of Australia in Laos and for their support for Australia and for Lao-Australian relations.
สวัสดีทุกท่านข้าพเจ้าโพลเคลลีทูตออสเตรเลียประจำสปปลาว I'd like to share with you the remarks that I made when I hosted His Excellency, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Foreign Affairs Salumsai Commersit and other distinguished guests an event this week to celebrate Australia Day. Though today is February 8, January 26 is Australia's National Day, Australia Day. Australia Day is a time to reflect on and acknowledge our nation's past and to learn about our national journey, including the ongoing history, traditions and cultures of Australia's Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. Australia's First Peoples are the traditional carers of our lands and waterways, and they have a fundamental role in Australia's story, a story that began over 60,000 years ago. In addition to celebrating the story of Australia's first people, we also recognise modern Australia as a vibrant, successful and multicultural society. While we are old, we are also new. In a population of 25 million people, Australia has become home to 7 million migrants since 1945. Australians identify with 270 different ancestries. 1 in 4 Australians are born overseas, and 1 in 2 have a parent born overseas. In Australia, our National Day is a chance to reflect on the past, present and future, to respect each other's stories and contributions, and to come together and connect with family, friends and community. For me and my colleagues at the Australian Embassy, it's also a time where we can reflect on Australia's international relations and, of course, our relations with Laos. 2022 was an important year for Australia's relationship with Laos. We mark 70 years of unbroken diplomatic ties. During the course of the year, I noticed that there are some recurring themes that provide the foundations of our successful relationship. First, cooperation on the Lao-Thai Friendship Bridge, which opened in 1994, is perhaps the most significant activity. Funded and constructed by Australia, many people recognise the opening of the bridge as the beginning of Laos' economic integration and one of the first steps in a connectivity agenda that Laos has strongly driven since. Second, central to the success of our long-standing partnership is our strong support for the Lao PDR government's investment in human resource development. Our collaboration on education dates back to the early years of the Colombo Plan in the 1950s. Australian government scholarships have helped many Laos citizens achieve their leadership potential in the government, business and community sectors, particularly women, people from ethnic backgrounds and persons living with a disability. Supporting education is an investment in Laos' human capital, as well as in the ties that our two countries share. And third, what we do is important, but I've seen that how we do it perhaps matters the most. During the course of the last year, we were able to arrange a number of high-level visits and meetings. This included Deputy Prime Minister Salumsai's visit to Australia in October, as well as our leader-level meeting in November, which saw our Prime Ministers announce their intention to elevate our relationship to a comprehensive partnership. The elevation will explore how to expand or deepen areas for bilateral and regional cooperation on human resources, on energy and climate change, and on transnational crime. The announcement is an important demonstration of the value we place on our bilateral relationship and commitment to strengthening our cooperation. I've observed that the most successful element of our relationship is the mutual respect and trust, dialogue, and understanding that we both bring. That's the foundation on which we will build our next 70 years. But one area that I expect will also be prominent in our growing relationship will be on supporting business investment and economic connectivity. The Australian government has announced the appointment of eminent Australian business leader Nicholas Moore to head the development of Australia's Southeast Asia economic strategy to 2040. The strategy will map emerging trade and investment opportunities across key sectors in Southeast Asia and match those with Australian capabilities. Australia seeks to work with Laos and other ASEAN partners to shape this period of change together. Indeed, in regard to ASEAN, Laos and Australia are bound very close. Through a fortunate set of circumstances, Laos is Australia's country coordinator for ASEAN from 2022 to 2024. This means we'll be working closely as Laos prepares to chair ASEAN in 2024. It's also the same year that ASEAN and Australia will recognise 50 years since Australia became ASEAN's first dialogue partner. And it will also be 30 years since the opening of the first Lao-Thai Friendship Bridge. Australia is committed to support Laos to deliver a successful chair year. As Australians reflect on our National Day and look forward to the future, I'm confident about Australia's relationship with the Lao PDR, given the strong foundations that underpin it. There is much for us to look forward to together. Kop Chai.